Okay, so that is the process. So we have to complete the process first. You have to raise a change request. It has to be approved by all the teams. Once it was approved, you can proceed for patching. Clear, right? Any issues, any doubts in the patching process? Any doubts in the patching process? Right. Okay, that's fine. Yes. Just a minute.
సార్ ప్యాచింగ్ కి ఎన్ని రోజుల ముందు ప్లాన్ చేస్తారు సార్ ఈ టికెట్ గురించి?
At least 1 week before. Okay, we have to plan it. It depends. Okay, say for example, like you will ask a customer, right? Customer or point of contact or single point of contact. You will ask to approve, right? So you will send an email. Sometimes what he's going to do, okay, don't patch this weekend, patch next weekend. So what you have to do, how you are going to plan it? I'll tell you, Maggie, what is the rollback option? I'll tell you. Okay. Right. So for example, this customer is saying, one customer is saying, hey, don't patch this weekend. Please patch this server on 25th Saturday or 26th Sunday. So what you have to do? Then you have to start. Why? Because if you raise a change request in this week, it will go to Wednesday's cab meeting or Wednesday or Tuesday. Tuesday's cab meeting or Wednesday's cab meeting, so that it will be allowed only for the next week Tuesday up to Wednesday. Okay, so when you have to raise the change request, if he is approved for 25th, okay, then 22nd cab meeting. Before 22nd cab meeting, you have to raise change request. Okay, before 22nd cab meeting, or else you can rise now also. Okay, but what happened, you have to set the scheduled date as 25th, so that it will go to that particular 22nd cab meeting. Okay, so before cab meeting you have to raise a change. So they will give you, say for example, every Wednesday cab meeting is there, till last minute they won't accept the changes. Okay, you have to be ready by Tuesday night. Whatever changes you are going to do for the next week, you have to be ready with the Tuesday night, by Tuesday night, so that whatever changes are there by Tuesday night, they will generate an Excel sheet. That cab team will generate an Excel sheet. Those changes only they are going to discuss in the 22nd cab meeting. Okay, right? They won't allow you till last minute Tuesday meeting. Okay, so they will roll up by Tuesday night, 12 o'clock, or might be Tuesday early morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever changes are there, they're going to roll up before a day. Then you have to be planned before Wednesday itself, so that you can raise the change request and that change will goes to the next cab meeting. So for example, if you fail to raise the change request by 22nd, now you can request before meeting, you can raise a change request and you can request cab people to approve the same. So they are going to allow you, they are going to add your change in the particular meeting. Once cab is completed, Tuesday night 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, imagine, or Wednesday night 8 to 9 cab is there. So by 9 o'clock you are unable to raise a change request. Okay, once cab meeting is completed, there is no way. Again you have to wait for the next week. Again you have to send a email to customer. You have to ask for the new window. Okay, fine.
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Yeah, POC or SPOC both are same only, Sunil. Okay, so in the organization might be different names, they can call with different names. In some organization will call with a POC, in some organization will call with a SPOC. Both are same. Okay, there is no difference between POC and SPOC. The name they are going to represent is going to different company to company. In my company I'll call it as a SPOC. In different company, another people is going to call it as a POC. Okay, both are same only. There is no POC, no SPOC, no different persons. Both are same only. I'll call as a SPAC, you may call as a POC, SPOC and POC. Right, fine. So yes, once your change is approved, your change is ready now. Every team is approved your change. Now everything is ready. Now you can start patching. But before patching, you have to take care of precautions. Some precautions are there. For successful patching, you have to go with some precautions. What are those precautions? Very important precautions. Okay. So before patching and after patching, Same. Post-patching precautions also same. Pre-patching and post-patching precautions also same. So we have some 4 or 5 precautions are there, very important precautions. You have to take care of these precautions, then only you can proceed for patching. Okay, these are precautions. It's not mandatory, but precautions for a successful patching. You have to check these things, right? The first thing is make sure how many instances are there in the machine. Okay, how many instances are there in the machine? Why we have to check this one? Why? Because during patching, before patching, we have to reboot the Windows server, whole Windows server. Okay, so in case in my Windows machine, 3 SQL servers are there, but you're patching only one SQL server. Other 2 servers also going to reboot, right? Once you reboot Windows server, all SQL servers are going to reboot, right? But you just took approval for only one SQL server, but unknowingly you are rebooting another 2 instances also. Then it will cause problem for you. Why? Because the other team Spock, whoever is controlling the other 2 instances, 90% the same owner is going to be controlled other 2 instances also, but there are different scenarios. Might be other 2 instances is going to be taken care by another person. So he will raise a complaint, okay, without letting me know this person, okay, is patched the SQL server. So or else this person is restarted the Windows server, so my instances are rebooted, so downtime, so please take action on him. Like that, he's going to complain on us. It's very critical. Once client complaint on us, this payroll team nothing to do. Simply, if client wants us, payroll team will keep us in the company. If client don't want us, payroll team will immediately send you out. They don't have any mercy on you. They don't have any mercy on you. Payroll team wants. Why? Because payroll team is paying, client is paying money to payroll team. So whatever client is saying, payroll team has to agree. Okay. So there are a lot of scenarios. If you are doing mistakes during patching and all, okay, that can affect your job. You have to be very careful. Okay, so depends upon the client. Some clients will be good clients, 70 to 80% are good clients only, but 20% clients are, okay, you know, right, UK US people, how strict they are. Okay, so they are not going to entertain these kind of things, and also automatically sometimes it will be risky. Okay, so make sure how many instances are there in that machine, and make sure you are informing to all the business owners. To all the business owners, say I'm doing patching on the server, so during this patching I have to reboot the Windows server, so your instance is also going to reboot. Okay, I'm saying these are the whatever precautions we are discussing now, these are the worst cases. These are the worst cases. Okay, I'm not saying for every instance you will have multiple instances in the same machine. These are the very worst cases that we are discussing. Okay, in the future you might experience these things and all. Fine. So you have to take approval from all the instances. If only one instance is there, that's fine. If multiple instances are there, make sure you are informed to other business owners also. Okay, second thing is how many services are up and running. Okay, you have to check how many services are up and running. It is very important. Why? Because here I have only one SQL server, right? So if we go to services.msc or configuration manager, okay, you can use configuration manager for SQL server specific services. If you go to configuration manager, there you can see SQL server related services. Some of them are in stopped state, some of them are in running state, some of them are in disabled state. Okay, you can see here currently 3 out of 4, 3 are running, 1 is stopped. Okay, so whatever state before patching, the same state should be there after patching also. Imagine I have 2 instances. If 2 instances are there, how many services will be there here? If 2 instances are there, how many extra services will be there in this window?
2.
2 services, 2 instances are there. How many total? How many services will be there?
15.
Total 8.
8 services.
Overall,
Here,
five
in
services.
this window.
Total 8.
Why total 8?
Yes.
Why total 8?
Because 2 instances are running, right?
Only 7 services will be there, sir.
Who said 7?
So
Three,
it's me,
sir.
sir, Srinath.
Three, sir.
Who?
Srinath, sir.
Srinath, okay. So right, your answer is correct. 7 services will be there if 2 instances are there. Okay. Here, if you see 4 services are already there. In this 4, this browser service is a shared service. Shared services will exist only once per machine, right? If 2 instances are there, not 4 plus 4, 8 services. Okay. 4 plus another 3 services, 7 services. Whenever you're installing one more instance, 3 more services are going to be added. Last time we have already discussed. Whenever you are installing one more service, whenever you are installing one more instance, you are going to get 3 more services. Okay, right? You are going to get 3 more services. So plus 3, 4 plus 3, you will get 7 services. Okay, here 7 services. So it's not guarantee like all 7 services should be up and running. Might be some of the services are already down. Okay, pre-patching and post-patching, we have some steps, right? If you don't check the pre-patching services, okay, after patching, if you check again, imagine 3 or 4 services are down. So what is your experience? You didn't check how many services are up and running before patching, but after patching, during post-patching checks, you found out 4 services are down. So what is your experience in that scenario? How you are going to feel? You might feel after patching might be these services are down, right?
Yes, we have to take.
Yes. Okay, so that's why before patching, go and open configuration manager or services.msc. Services.msc is the best thing. Okay, why? Because in the services.msc you can see all the SQL related services. There is a issue with the configuration manager. In case if there are other instances from different versions, you cannot see in the configuration manager. So open services.msc, go to the SQL Server services. Okay, then check how many are running, how many are not running. Just check it, how many are running, how many are not running. That's it. If in case if you want, you can take the screenshot. Okay, so if you can't remember, you can take the screenshot. Why? Because if 10-15 services are there, some of them are running, some of them are not running, that's fine. If it is running, that's fine. If it is not running also, that's fine. But make sure after patching also the service states are same. Whatever services are running before patching, same services should be up and running after patching also. Clear, guys? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the second check. How many services are there? How many are up and running? How many are not running? Just take a screenshot. If you want to note down, you can just note it down in a notepad. After patching, the same services should be up and running and same services should be down. That is the second precaution. Okay, what is the third precaution? Make sure we have enough free space.
Actually,
Yes.
సార్ మన లాస్ట్ టైం మనం డిస్కస్ చేసినప్పుడు డిఫాల్ట్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ చెప్పినప్పుడు మనం డిస్కస్ 6 సర్వీసెస్ ఎప్పుడు అప్ అండ్ రన్నింగ్ ఉంటాయి, 3 ఏమో స్పెసిఫిక్ సర్వీస్ రిలేటెడ్ అని షేర్డ్ సర్వీసెస్ అని చెప్పారు కదా సార్. సో మనకి services.msc లో మనకి 6 సర్వీసెస్ మనకి విజిబుల్ గా కనిపిస్తాయి. బట్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ మేనేజర్ లో మనకి ఆల్మోస్ట్ 4 మాత్రమే మనకు కనిపిస్తున్నాయి. ఎందుకని సార్?
So why? Because 2 services, okay, one is VSS writer and Active Directory helper, not part of the configuration manager. So as per the Microsoft architecture, Microsoft will differentiate these 4 services as related to the SQL Server specific to instance. Okay, remaining other 2 are related to the OS kind of services. Of course, these also related to the OS also, but they differentiated like this. Microsoft differentiated like this, and that's why you cannot see Active Directory helper and VSS writer in the configuration manager. You can see only 4 specific services, 3 shared and 1 specific services in the configuration manager. Okay, that's how Microsoft designed. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Fine. Okay, so make sure the third check is make sure enough free space is there. Enough free space is there in the C drive. Okay, which not your laptop C drive, the server C drive. Okay, in the server C drive, which server you are patching, on which server you are applying patchings on that particular Windows server. Make sure enough free space is there. So what is meant by enough free space? How much should be there? How much free space should be there in the C drive? I'm sorry. So here you can see 9.28 GB free space is there, right? At least 2 to 3 GB free space should be there if you want to patch a SQL server. Okay, in the C drive, at least 2 to 3 GB free space. 2 to 3 GB free space should be there. Okay, don't patch if there is no free space, or if there is less free space, like if there is less than 1 GB, less than 1.5 GB free space is there, don't patch it. Your patching will be failed. Why? Because during patching it will take the backup of some of the files, so it needs some free space in the C drive. Again, after successful patching it will delete those files, but it will take the backup of those files, right? So that's why it needs at least 1 to 1.5 GB free space, okay, to take the backup. 1 to 1.5 GB free space means in 3 GB, if it is using 1 to 1.5 GB, at least you will have 1 to 1.5 GB free space in the C drive. That's why make sure at least 2 to 3 GB free space should be there in the C drive. Don't proceed for patching if you have less than 1.5 GB free space in the C drive. Make sure at least 2 GB is good. Okay, if you have like a 1.5 GB free space, there are some chances your patching may failed. Got it? So make sure at least 3 GB, or worst case at least 2 GB free space also should be there in the C drive, so that you don't face any issues during the patching, okay, related to the space. Fine. So that is the next precaution we are going to take. And what is the fourth one? Go to Management Studio, okay, and check how many databases are up and running, how many databases are online. Okay, up and running online, both are same. So why? Because there are some chances some of the databases will be in offline state. I'm not saying on all the servers. There are some chances, there are some servers where some of the databases will be in offline state, read only mode, restoring state, different states will be there. Okay, just go to the server, connect to the server, and check the database states of all the databases. Okay, so once you have an idea, why? Because after patching, see, some of the old servers will be there in the organization. Users not so regularly they are going to connect to the server. Okay, after patching we have to send an email to the users, hey, patching is successful, please check everything is looking good or not. We'll send an email. Okay, so what they will do, so usually if it is old server, they don't connect regularly, right? They will connect, might be 1 month, 2 months and all. After 2 months, after 1 month and all, like that they are going to connect. So what they are going to think is, after patching the databases will be down. Actually the databases are down before patching only. There is no impact of patching on the databases. Databases won't go offline if you are doing any patching, but what they are going to think, as they are not regularly connecting to the server, they will mention after patching these are the databases went to offline mode or read only mode, please check this one. No, not after patching. Before patching itself, someone put those databases into offline mode or read only mode intentionally. They will blame the patching activity. So that's why it is always good to have the databases list. How many databases are there? How many are them up and running? How many are them offline? How many of them read only mode? Just make a report. If anyone is asking, if we don't have report, what we will think? Might be after patching only the databases are down. We will also in the same assumption, right? So that's why take a screenshot if there are less databases, or you can use SP_help DB, which will help you to tell you the database states like online, offline, read only, read write, whatever states are there. It will help you, and you can see all the states of that particular databases. and you can take the backup of that particular table and you can copy paste into an Excel sheet till at least during patching. Once patching is successful, we'll send an email to customer, right? We'll ask customer to check the databases and all to check everything is looking good or not. If anyone complained, hey, this database is offline or it is in read-only mode, just check with your Excel sheet whether the database is offline before or after patching. If you found some information in the Excel sheet, make sure this is not during the patching. Before patching itself, the databases are online or offline or read-only mode. So there is no relation with the patching. There is no effect of patching on these databases. You can directly, straight away, you can tell the point to the customer so that he can also understand. If you only having doubt, okay, how can you talk with the customer? Right, so that's why make sure you are maintaining one list how many databases are online, offline, read only mode, read write mode. So it will help you after patching. You can simply tell the same thing to the customer. So not due to patching, might be someone put this database offline or read only mode intentionally. I can see before patching itself, this is the list I took the backup, and you can see, so he'll be okay. Fine, clear guys? Is it clear? Any issues, any doubts? You can use SP_Help DB. Okay, SP_Help DB will give you all the databases, including system databases and all. You can now we have only 2 databases, and you can see, okay, 2 databases are online. Okay, so why we have to take the screenshot and all? We can easily remember this 2 database states, right? If you have 20-30 databases, you don't know what is online, what is offline, what is read-only mode, then try to take the screenshot or try to use this SP_Help DB. Okay, so if you run this, you can see under this column, status column, you can see database states, online, offline, read only mode, read write mode. Okay, you can see here, if it is read only mode, you can see read only here. Okay, if it is single user mode, you can see single user or multi user, you can see in this column. Okay, so in that way you can verify it. So usually if 1 or 2 databases are there, you can easily remember the state of the databases. Fine guys, any issues, any doubts? Is it clear? Everyone?
Yes, Shanmugh.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so next is before patching, what you can do is, sometimes what people will do, they will take the backup of all the databases, but it is difficult backup of all the databases. Okay, so why? Because imagine if the server is big server, you cannot take backup of all the databases. We have very less downtime window. We have only 3 hours. Patching will be completed in 1 hour itself. 30 minutes to 45 minutes it will be completed. But to check all these things, to send an email and all, it will take some time, right? So that's why we usually give 2 hours buffer time. So we can ask 2 to 3 hours downtime. If something happened, something wrong with the patching, if it is wrong, if the patching is failed, we should have some time, right, to fix the issue and all. So that's why for safe side, we'll take 2 to 3 hours downtime. Okay, so if anyone is asking how much downtime you need, don't tell 1 day, 2 days and all. Just simply tell, okay, I need 2 to 3 hours for patching. 2 to 3 hours for one instance is fine. Okay, for one instance 2 to 3 hours is fine. In 1 hour, in 30 minutes itself we can complete patching. But in worst case, to send an emails, to check all these things, precautions and all, and after patching to check the post patching things, and if any issue is there during patching, to fix the issue and all, we are going to take a 2 to 3 hours downtime for safe side. Right, so backup of, so we will have less downtime window. If you are simply taking backups before patching, it may take a lot of time. So we usually don't prefer this one. Might be you can take it, but we usually don't prefer. If it is a old machine, sometimes you have to patch old machines also, like SQL Server 2000, SQL Server 2005 running on Windows Server 2003. So sometimes you have to take care of these machines as well. You have to patch these machines as well. If machine is physical machine or virtual machine, okay, make sure, okay, physical machine or virtual machine, this is the scenario. If you are doing patching of physical machine which is very old machine, try to patch it during weekdays. Physical machine, old machine, lot of challenges will be there with the physical old machine. If the machine is physical machine and very old machine, try to patch it during weekdays. Why? Because if you choose weekends, no one will be there in the office. If customer is not agreeing for weekday patching, explain the situation. If he is still not agreeing, ask him to manage one resource during the patching activity in the location. Imagine your server is there in the US. Your server is there in the US office. Okay, so you are doing patching during weekend. US, UK, usually people don't work, right? During weekends and all, they don't work. Their laws not allowed to work. Okay, so you are patching during weekends. No one is there in the office. You just rebooted the server. Server is not coming online due to some issues. To whom you have to check? As it is a physical server, no one can control it until if the machine is rebooted and it came to online successfully. If it is not online, no one can control it. A person should go physically and he has to check what is the issue with the server. He has to fix the issue physically and he has to bring the machine online. Then only we can connect remotely. Okay, so make sure you are doing physical machines during weekdays. If the customer is not okay for doing patching during weekdays, explain the situation. Still, if he's not agreeing for weekday patching, then make sure one Windows resource is available at site, at data center. Wherever your server is there, that particular location, we can call it as data centers. Okay, make sure one Windows guy is there at data center. If everything went successful, that's fine. Okay, we have to always think about worst case, not best case. If something goes wrong, that guy will check it immediately and he is going to fix that issue and he is going to make the server online, so we can connect from any location. If it is a virtual machine, no problem, anyone can connect from anywhere. Why? Because see, here I have virtual machine, right? Even though the server is stopped, I can start from this console. But if the physical machine is stopped, you cannot control it from console. Or if it was struck during the reboot, we cannot control it until it comes to online. Okay, so virtual machine, you don't face issues. But for physical machine, if it is physical machine, make sure you are following these precautions. Clear, guys? This is also one more precaution. These are all worst cases. Okay, so that's why I'm explaining all these things. Fine, patching again, you will feel what is this patching, next patch it. But these are all precautions, you have to go for it. Okay, very important precaution. Then only your patching will be successful. Right, fine. So any doubts in the patching precautions? Any doubts? Fine, right? I can proceed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so those are all the patching precautions. And you can say, right, you can see these are all the patching precautions, very important patching precautions. And once you checked all these things, once everything looks good, then and again try to copy the files during weekdays only. If you want to patch during Saturday, Sunday, try to copy the service pack or cumulative update on Friday itself. Why? Because at least you will get a chance to check whether your shared location is working or not from the server. Imagine you did not copy the files during weekdays. Saturday, you have one shared location, your team member gave one shared location, you're trying to open that shared location from the server. It is not accessible. What is your reaction? Server is not accessible. If the location is not accessible, shared location is not accessible, you cannot copy the file. If you cannot copy the file, you cannot patch the SQL server. Your change will be failed. You have to, if the change is failed, you have to answer for the CAP people why the change is failed. If you say I'm unable to copy the service pack files or cumulative update files from shared location is not working, then why you did not check it before change itself? Okay, so you'll get a lot of questions. So you have to make sure to copy the service pack files or cumulative update files during weekdays itself. If the shared path is not working, someone will be there to help us. They may give different shared location. If it is weekend, everyone will be in off only. No one will help you. Again, to find the resource, to get the resource will take a lot of time. Your patching window may complete. And you cannot download service pack from the server directly. Servers doesn't have internet connection. Okay, so make sure you copy the files during weekdays only. If files are successfully copied, very good. If it is not working, the shared location is not working, you have to inform to the team lead. He will give you another shared location, or he will go for alternative to copy the files and all. You have to inform to your team lead, or like whatever, whoever is there, your colleague, you can take their help. Fine. So these are the main precautions, guys. These are the main precautions for a successful patching. Right. So let's proceed for patching now. What is the bill number here? 1000.169, right? So you can see what is the SP underscore, select at version. Okay, just check it.
Hello.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, so here you can see select at version. You can see 2017 is running on RTM, right? So once you just patch the SQL Server with the CU25, you cannot see RTM here. You can see CU25 here. Now this is running at RTM. Okay, but after patching, this RTM will goes and you can see CU25, and this bill number 14.0 will be there, but the third part and fourth part is going to change. Okay, third part and fourth part is going to change, right? So let's start with the patching. We have already copied the file, right? So what we can do, right click on the file, patch file, and you can select run as administrator. The same process, I am patching with cumulative update, right? If you want to patch with service pack, sir, how to patch with service pack? Don't ask that question. Everything is same. On behalf of cumulative update, service pack file will be there. Right click, run as administrator. File is going to be changed. Remaining all the processes are same. No extra options will be there. Nothing to select. I have a question for all of you. Okay. In case if my server is, if my SQL server is stopped state, imagine I have one instance, the instance is in stopped state. SQL server is not running. Can you patch the SQL server if the server is in stopped state?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is the answer? Yes or no? I need answers from everyone. Okay, yes or no? No problem. You can just try it.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Not required, Shanmugh.
Sorry, no comment.
Because since it's in a stop state, right?
No
need to do patching.
Why? Why like that? So the answer is either yes or no. Okay, so even though the server is in stopped state, okay, whether we can do or we can't do, that is different thing. But my question is, if the server is in stopped state, can we patch that stopped instance or not?
No, sir. How can we patch it, that one? That is a stopped one, right? That one is not running.
Okay.
At the time, we cannot patch.
Okay, so this is the assignment question for tomorrow. Okay, just stop your instance and try to patch the instance and let me know the answer, yes or no. Whatever you're doing, just stop the instance. Just stop the instance and try to patch it. And let me know whether we can patch or not. Okay, right? Clear?
So 1 minute. That means that the services are running.
Yes, no, stopped means what? Services are not running, right? If services are running, yes. If services are running, it is not stopped, it's running. Yes. Tell me.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Tell me.
No, sir.
Okay, that's
అంటే
fine.
ఇప్పుడు ఈ సూపర్ సర్వర్ సర్వీసెస్ కూడా డౌన్ అవుతాయి కదా సార్.
That's what, but that's what. See, that's what I'm saying. Okay, SQL Server services will be down. Even though if the SQL Server services are down, can you patch the SQL Server or not? That is my question.
No, we can't. Not possible.
We can
Yes, we
patch,
can.
sir. But
Okay.
the service
Even-
state before and after patching also same, sir.
That is okay. That is okay. I agree with that. Okay. But just I need the answer whether can we patch an instance of stopped state which is not running. Okay.
Yes, we can do.
Yeah. So I need answers by tomorrow. Nothing. Of course, you are going to practice, right? Just before patching, stop your instance and open the service pack file or cumulative update file and try to patch it. Right? Fine. So in this window, it will ask you which instance I want to patch. Imagine if I have multiple instances. Imagine I have multiple 2017 instances. Okay, so let me tell you one thing here. Right. So if you have multiple same version instances, multiple different version instances.
Sir, meeting is going to be over, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let me reopen the meeting.